This is Heather Vale with Vegas UnVALEd. We're at the SAM event at Sam's Town in Las Vegas, and joining me is Marc Harty, someone who I interviewed many, many moons ago. Good to see you again, Marc.
Good to see you, Heather. Yeah.
So we're connected on Facebook. We do a lot of chatting on Facebook, but I haven't seen you live, and it's got to be like a dozen years.
And we both look exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. Neither of us have aged at all. So what are you doing now? You're working with a tech startup?
Yes, it's an ad tech startup, and it's built on blockchain, which a lot of people, they freeze up because they don't know what blockchain is. They're afraid of it. They don't.
It's a trendy word.
Yeah, well, and a lot of it is associated with negativity. I mean, a lot of the crypto plays, people trying to pump and dump, make money with crypto investments are based on blockchain. So you're coming into a market with a negative association. So that's been an interesting challenge.
Okay, so how do you overcome that challenge of trying to take something that's not necessarily negative but has a negative connotation and turning it positive?
In this particular instance, the company is actually solving a major problem that unfortunately a lot of people don't even know about. And it's like, the best way I've heard it described is it is the second most profitable organized crime outside of drug trafficking. And so, with that kind of lead up, it's ad fraud. It's if you're running ads online, Google is not telling you that 20, 30, 40, 50% of your budget is being stolen from phantom clicks and phony websites. And so it's really been interesting educating people that this problem exists, because you could still run a campaign, have success, but not realize you might have had more success if you had a better program or a better platform.
You're starting to sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist, right? I mean, I love conspiracy theories, don't get me wrong, but people are watching going like, what?
And
he's talking about phantoms, he's talking about the dark web.
You know what? We hear that a lot. And so one of the things that the company I'm working with did, we actually commissioned a third-party research study where we surveyed like 500 agency heads of North America, so basically US and Canada, and what we got back was, number one, people don't know it's a problem. Number two, even if they're aware it's a problem, they're not sure how it's specifically affecting them and their clients. So it does exist, but it does take some education to make it seem real for people. So one of the things that we do is we talk about the human cost. One of the founders of the company, he had to lay off half of his staff because he lost millions to ad fraud. So you've got people that he's supporting that he can't keep on board because his company isn't meeting their financial projections. So yes, a little bit conspiracy, but what I find is the more people know, the more their eyes are opened, and then the more they do a little bit more due diligence to see exactly what they're investing in.
Okay, so let's kind of break down the blockchain thing for people, because we hear about it a lot. Not everyone understands it. What exactly is blockchain? What's cryptocurrency? How does it affect our lives?
Okay. How much time do you have? No.
2 minutes.
Okay, so let's take it piece by piece. So
okay.
Blockchain is different than the internet because it's peer-to-peer. And in the case of ad technology, it's transparency. So when you do a transaction, it's recorded. You can see it. There's a ledger. There's a path of transactions. You can't necessarily see that on the web. So a lot of blockchain companies offer things that internet-based companies don't. So for example, this company I'm working with, the marketplace that they're creating is going to be transparent. People know exactly where their money's going, how much is going specifically to their ad budgets, and what ad fraud was affected and how it was prevented. So that's blockchain. Crypto, blockchain is based on tokens, and there are different types of tokens. So you're going to have another guest who's going to talk about one type of token. The token that I'm familiar with is called a security token. And without getting really technical, security tokens are like traditional investments. They have to be backed by traditional securities. So like, it's not just, hey, we're going to throw a token out and see how much money we can make. It's, we have backed this with traditional assets, like if it was a company that was going for an IPO. So, you know, it's an interesting time for technology and for finance, because you see countries around the world adopting standards for cryptocurrencies.
Okay. All right, so Mark, if someone is watching and they want to find out more about you and maybe connect with the startup or maybe just follow you on social media because you have some other interesting things to say besides this, how do they do that? Where do they go?
Okay, so to find out more about this ad tech company, it's tribeos.io. And then in terms of me, you can go to prtraffic.com, opt in for one of my press release templates, and that it was actually what we interviewed many, many years ago.
Yes, yes. and it's still going, obviously. So.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I actually created that 15 years ago, and I had a choice. At that time, MySpace was really popular.
I remember.
And so I was like...
And nobody knew what Facebook was.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, I need to do a training program that will help people, and I just knew that PR would still be around 15 years later. Now, has it changed? Yes. Is it different? Is it more technology-based? Yes. Does it still work? Also, yes.
Okay. So do you want to give us a little tidbit if someone's looking for more public relations? What would be your number one tip?
The number one tip is you don't need to actually reach a reporter to be successful. You can actually go directly to whoever your target audience is. If you're trying to reach, you know, mothers or you know, people that want to learn about dog training, you don't necessarily need to get a journalist to write about that. You can create a press release and get that exposure on your own. Now, will it help if a journalist covers it? Absolutely. But you don't need a journalist to be successful. That's been the big shift.
Okay, I mean, did we ever need a journalist?
We did, because they were really gatekeepers of information. Now, as you know, with social media, people are getting a lot of their information and news that way. And you know, if you look at print publications, I was in the airport and I picked up a USA Today. It's like 14 pages. I mean, it's nothing.
Well, the Las Vegas Review-Journal is still a good paper, I do have to say.
So yes, there have been some shifts in terms of journalism, and newsrooms have been laying off journalists. I mean, there are major publications that have fired all their photographers and said, if you want a photo, just take a photo, you, Mr. and Ms. Reporter, with your iPhone, and that's what we'll use as a photo. So.
Oh, no.
You know, it actually,
as a photographer, that's painful.
But you know, it is. I think part of it is the revenue model. You know, that publications are built on advertising. Think about classified advertising. That was the main revenue source for newspapers. That money's all gone. You know, very few people spend money on classified ads.
Yeah, you know, they couldn't write that Pina Colada song these days because it wouldn't make sense.
Absolutely not.
Just saying. All right, so prtraffic.com if you want to opt in for Mark's stuff, or you can connect with him on Facebook, Marc Harty, with a C, correct?
Yes, with a C and a T.
Mark with a C, Harty with a T. Got it. Okay. And if you want to connect with me, go to vegasunveiled.com, VALE, like my last name, Heather Vale. Leave us your comments below. Go ahead and like this, share this, and we'll catch you next time on Vegas Unveiled. Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you, Heather.